I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Hashtag History,
the podcast for both history nerds and history haters alike,
where we dive into history's greatest stories of controversy, conspiracy, and corruption.
Hey guys, this is Hashtag History, episode 28. I'm Rachel.
And I am Leah.
You probably know that by our voices. Do I even need to say that?
I mean, we do say it in the intro, and then 2 seconds later say it in
You're
the
so
podcast.
right.
I kind of like it because I say it different every week.
Okay. I say it the exact same way
You
every
do.
week. Yeah. I say it there because I have listened to podcasts before where there's like two hosts and you're sometimes
Like which one?
not sure. But
we're very obvious.
And you're absolutely right that we literally say it in our intro music and then 0.2 seconds later say it again.
Yeah. I just have fun going, and I'm Leah.
And mine's like hella boring. And I sound exactly like I did in the intro. So how about like from now on, I'll just say, this is Hashtag History. And then you can say, I'm Leah. and
that wouldn't be awkward at all.
I need no introduction, apparently. So
We'll figure it out. We'll play it by ear next time.
you guys let us know what you want to hear.
Absolutely.
Okay, so guys, this is the second half of a two-part episode on the Jonestown Massacre. Last week, we left off with Jim Jones, the leader of the People's Temple cult, selecting the jungles of Guyana as the place where the church would plant their roots, away from public scrutiny. Or so he thought. If you haven't listened to episode 28, the first half of this two-parter, I highly recommend you go do that because you can't fully understand the tragedy that occurred in Jonestown without fully understanding Jim Jones himself. And we did a lot of background, foundational coverage of him in last week's episode.
For sure.
For anyone that needs a little reminder about the psychopath that we discussed last week, please listen here just to the sound of Jim Jones's laughter.
It's so bad.
It's horrible.
Put up by a 70-some-year-old. Hold it there, Simon. She's out of my sight. That was no reason for that.
But the even more disturbing thing about that I don't know if you're going to go over this, but is that was that whole video right there was going over an old person fight club that he was holding in the church.
I'm actually, because we're talking about so much, I'm not going to go into detail about that. So I am really glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, just in passing, guys, he made elderly people fight.
For entertainment.
And then you heard him laughing and reacting to it. And you heard some of what he was saying. He was like, haha, yeah, kill that old lady.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I'm really glad you brought that up because literally, you guys, there is so much shit to talk about. And by shit, I mean like disgusting, horrible, shitty things.
Yeah. You mean shit.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, let's drink.
I could use a drink after that. 'Cause
yeah.
He's creepy.
Yep. Psychopath.
Okay. Now, for part two, usually when we do two-parters, we just drink the same drink, but this time I actually prepared.
I'm really excited about there being a second drink.
Yeah. So for part two of this ridiculously depressing and disturbing two-parter, I thought it would be fun to do a jungle juice cocktail. Now, mostly because, it's going to take place in the jungle of Guyana.
Yeah, that's where we're headed.
So the jungle juice cocktail that I am referencing right now, which can be found on diffordsguide.com, which a lot of my cocktails recently have come from there just randomly.
That's cool.
Anyways, it contains vodka, light rum, triple sec, cranberry juice, orange juice, pineapple juice, lime juice, and then simple syrup. And to get the exact amounts, we'll post it to our Instagram like we always do.
And like Leah said before we came in and started recording, with all of those juices, may or may not actually taste liquor.
No, even though there are two types of liquor in there, doubtful that we will taste it at all,
right.
Especially since it's vodka. Like we don't taste vodka ever.
Never.
So now this version of jungle juice is a little bit different than most. From what I can tell, jungle juice more modernly refers to, you guessed it, a Kool-Aid based cocktail. But since that is pretty much what we drank for the last episode, I wanted to change it up. Mm-hmm. So the reason I chose this cocktail is because, as I learned from our friends at 100 Proof History,
Whoop, whoop.
who also recently did a Jonestown two-parter episode, which like we were like, what the frick, we were planning this, guys.
We plan our episodes like several weeks in advance, and when they
like months actually.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, several months in advance. And when they dropped their 2-part Jonestown, I was like, so you suck. But I can say that because they are our friends, and I said that to them personally. So.
Yeah. But as we learned from them, certain members of the temple created a hooch type drink during their time in the jungles of Guyana, which they called jungle juice.
Yes.
Now, after hearing that, I thought that this might actually be where the term jungle juice came from, but it turns out it goes even further back.
That's cool, because that is something they mentioned in their episode. Like, I wonder what the origins of it are.
Yeah, so I'm about to drop some knowledge on you.
All of us.
Yes. So it's believed that the name originated in the South Pacific during World War II, where American soldiers improvised such a concoction using any commonly available materials in the surrounding jungles for fermentation, distillation, and flavoring, aka hooch.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if the people of Guyana like knew that and then kind of just switched it up a little bit, but basically they called it jungle juice.
I love it. And
Yeah.
then just to go back to 100 Proof History, if you guys don't already listen to them, I assume if you're listening to a history podcast, you're into history. However, some of you guys are just really awesome and really supportive, so maybe that's not the case.
Yeah.
But if you are really into history, that would be one to check out. And they did do a really good 2-parter on Jonestown where they talk about a lot of stuff that even we don't even get into.
Because I think each of their episodes were like an hour and a half long or something. So they like dove deep.
Yes. So I would definitely recommend checking them out. Ready to try these drinks?
Oh gosh, yeah, I forgot we actually have to drink it.
Yeah, of course we do.
Oh, cheers. Tastes like juice.
Yep. Tastes like orange juice.
Pineapple juice and cranberry juice.
Yeah, all 3 of those.
Right. Lime juice too?
Nope.
Well, there was just a squirt of lime juice, so it tastes good.
What would you rate this one? I feel like this one needs to be rated similar to was it the Stanford one where we were like, I can't remember if it was that episode, but where we were like, on a scale of non-alcoholic beverages, I would call it this. On a scale of alcoholic beverages, I'd call it this.
Your straw's about to fall out. It's so long.
Yeah, it's very, very long, guys.
Anyways, that's what she said. So yeah, you can't taste the alcohol. It's actually not my favorite we've ever had, but I think that's just because like after Leonardo's drink,
the Leonardo da Vinci drink was the best drink we've ever had on this podcast, guys.
I like the bar was raised to a level that I don't know.
Yeah, it's unattainable now. So this is going to be our last episode, guys.
That's it for us. Signing off. Let's not even finish.
Or, yeah, you're right. Let's not finish. Either, here are 2 options. We're done. Or we're having the Da Vinci drink for every episode, and we will find a way to make a correlation.
I could do that.
Yeah. It's going to be the exact same drink for the next 700 weeks.
And I'll describe it in detail every time like I always do.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same drink every week.
I'm supporting this decision.
It's going to be a lot of money, seeing as the ingredients cost me like $50.
That's right. That's right. So again, we're at the part of the story where Jones has moved the main hub of his church to Guyana, which would later be nicknamed Jonestown. By 1978, Jonestown boasted a whopping 900 members.
I like how you went from 20,000 to 900.
But
I mean, I get it. Like 20,000 people wouldn't move to Guyana.
Correct.
Yeah.
You got it. Exactly. A lot of them were still back in California, majority of which were in San Francisco at this point.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Jones himself made his way to Guyana on the very same night that an article in the New West magazine was released with allegations and complaints from prior church members that had since defected.
And these were like horrendous allegations.
Horrible. Jonestown had been described, like you read in a quote in the last episode, Leah, from a former church member, as a sort of utopia. Guyana was the only country in South America with English as its official language, which was obviously really appealing to a bunch of English-speaking Americans. Once arriving in Guyana, though, the people found that it was no utopia. Immediately upon arriving, Jones confiscated all of his followers' passports so that they couldn't leave without receiving express permission from him. That, to me, is like terrifying.
Red flag. I mean, if all of the other crap wasn't a red flag.
But also this feels like one of those things where you're already there. He asks, like, he demands your passport. What do you do?
Run.
Okay. Well, that's an option. Anyway.
Remember, 2 types of people here.
Yeah, you're right. We've talked about this before. 2 types of people. You would be the one that would run. Me,
I'd be
I'm
like this.
I'd be like, well, that sucks.
Guess I'm not going home.
Where's the jungle juice, guys? They also found that the soil in Guyana was not conducive to growing crops, and the people of Jonestown found themselves eating small rations of imported rice and beans pretty much every day.
Which, like, they knew. I mean, they didn't know ahead of time, but the leaders of the church, including Jones, knew
yes.
that it was not conducive for growing crops.
Yes, but the rest of his followers were told, we're headed to the promised land.
Yeah.
Those were the words used.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure this comes as zero surprise to you, Leah, that within just a few months of being in Guyana, the Jonestown people were subjected to nonstop diarrhea. So I watched this documentary, the same one now we've discussed in last week's episode.
Yes.
Apparently, Leah and I watched the exact same documentary within just a couple weeks of each other and
Not
didn't
surprised.
discuss it. So we're close enough that we talk about diarrhea with one another. We don't talk about, like, the history or documentaries that we watch.
No, we don't.
I guess not.
Yeah.
This is news. So we watched this one documentary, not together, about Jonestown that ABC 10 put together. You guys can actually find it on YouTube. It's a really, really good documentary. But something that the narrator said that both made me laugh and it made me mad at the same time. He said Jim Jones was the only person to gain weight in Jonestown.
Yep.
Jones's diet consisted of far more than the imported rice and beans. He was enjoying meat and fruit and soda, and he was enjoying an air-conditioned space with a personal refrigerator, unlike the rest of Jonestown that were living in communal, non-air-conditioned spaces in the hot, muggy weather.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing that Jim Jones was enjoying was a shit ton of drugs.
Yeah, he sure was.
Jones was known to use amphetamines to keep him going and barbiturates to bring him down.
Yeah, barbiturates.
Okay. After Jonestown was raided, the New York Times reported that Quaaludes, Valium, morphine, and Demerol were amongst the drugs found there. The extent to which the congregation used these drugs is not known, but it is believed that Jones did indeed use drugs to control his people and their behaviors.
I mean, that would make sense as to why 900 people followed him into the jungle.
Because they were in a stupor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're drugged up.
You're right. Jones didn't do such a great job of behaving himself, though. It was often pretty clear when he was high on drugs. In fact, it has long been rumored that the reason he wore those dark sunglasses, the ones that we described in last week's episode when we were looking at a picture of him, the reason why he wore those dark sunglasses all the time was because the extensive use of amphetamines made his eyes sensitive to the light. His eyes were also said to have been basically bloodshot 24/7, and so he hid his eyes to get away with his excessive drug use.
Which it should be said that he was wearing those sunglasses long before this move to Guyana.
You're
So he was
correct.
exhibiting these behaviors that probably meant he was taking drugs for like a decade
You're
before
absolutely
Guyana. I think they said it got really worse and worse leading up to it. But no, he was taking congregational money and buying, what was it, meth?
Mostly meth, yep.
Cool.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not like all of this just happened when they got to Jonestown.
No.
It just got worse.
Yeah.
He told his congregation that the reason he was wearing those sunglasses, though, was because he had so much power within him that if people saw his eyes directly, they just wouldn't be able to handle it.
I'm imagining, I don't know why, like Indiana Jones Is there something in Indiana Jones or like
yes. In Indiana Jones, when he and the woman are tied up to the thing and they have to close their eyes and not look at the very end of that one movie, where I remember like as a kid,
scared me.
No, not where I was going with that. As a kid, being very like my parents aren't into like romantic movies at all. Mm-hmm. They were into like action movies, like Indiana Jones type movies. And so I remember like I do like romance movies and stuff. So I remember the scene where he's like, I have a wound here, and he points to like his cheek, and she kisses his cheek, points to his forehead, and then he eventually points to his lips, and she kisses his lips. And I remember being very
turned on.
I wasn't going to say turned on. I was going to say very intrigued.
Okay.
By that scene.
Okay.
So whenever I think of that particular Indiana Jones, I think of that scene. Okay, so speaking of it being pretty obvious when Jones was high, let's take a listen to another audio clip of him giving a sermon here.
Yes.
Sunday news. The gold medal car. 2 Soviet exhibits. The latest Nixon, the Neva, car, and a circular grinding machine made in the Ukraine won gold medals at the 20th International Engine Fair in Brno, Czechoslovakia. Another gold model went to a turbo-electric city bus designed jointly by Soviet and Czechoslovakian engineers, and others in the products from Western countries, the USA, and several other countries from several different locations. It's windy on the moon. Although the moon has the atmosphere, dust storms appear in the 2-inch layer above the atmosphere. The wind is electrically powered, being caused by electrostatic fields generated by solar radiation. Report scientists from the Joffre Institute of Physical Engineering in Moscow. These mini-storms are particularly strong at the boundary between the light and dark side of the moon. A trained eagle.
So, what the fuck?
Right. So that whole entire time I kept commenting, like, is he just pulling these, like, the Institute of whatever out of his ass? Like, or did he plan this?
I don't even know. My favorite part of this whole recording is that when I was putting this episode together, I was, of course, like listening to several audio files and stuff to prepare for this. Sitting there on the bed, my fiance Alex, that I refer to often, overheard me listening to the audio, and of course his response was like, you do know that the moon doesn't have an atmosphere, right? So I say to him, like, yes, that's the point. Like, we're demonstrating how doped up Jones was. And he was like, okay, cool.
He's like,
cool,
just making sure.
And then it's like we listen to a little bit more, and he's like, oh, also you do know there is no dark side to the moon, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, that's what I'm demonstrating here. So if that doesn't do it for you guys, that audio, in addition to Alex's commentary, Jones was doped up, I'm assuming pulling stuff out of his ass.
I mean, that's a little impressive. Like, if you can just, while you're up on drugs, like if you can just be like, in the Institute of Georgia Tech, whatever,
because that's not what I sound like.
No, I mean, this podcast is proof of that. There have been times where we've gone a little bit
I hope I sound like a little intelligent.
Well,
still.
We're reading though.
You're correct. Stuff that I wrote when I was sober.
Were you?
Mostly sober.
Okay.
Yeah. So Larry Schacht, the only doctor on site at Jonestown and whose medical school had been paid for by Jones, was a former meth addict himself. He was the one that was able to gather the significant amount of drugs that Jones required and administered much of them to Jones as well. Jones also had other vices. One in particular were his sexual exploits.
Yeah, I'm glad we're actually digging into this, because this is a gross but intriguing aspect of this whole thing.
Right. Jones made a decision pretty early on that in order to receive the sexual satisfaction he desired, he would need to get it from within the church. Jones had gotten himself in some trouble seeking sex outside of the church, aka he approached an undercover officer at a gay bar and solicited sex from him. So he decided just to exploit and take advantage of his own people so he couldn't be destroyed from the outside. I will tell you guys some stories about Jones's sexual advances towards his followers, but first, let's have a listen to yet another crazy audio clip.
I think I know exactly the one you're going to play.
To think that people are so damn picayune about who they go to bed with, and particularly you women, all you have to do is lay there, and by God, I've had to keep it going all night.
The only thing I can do is to be an aggressive heterosexual with a man or woman. I don't care whatever you want to be. You be the woman. I would do that for socialism.
I told you there, I've had to crawl in bed with men and put up with for this cause. I've had to lay with women I hated till my skin crawled.
Okay, so from listening to that audio of Jones talking about, I don't even know what.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. The last two clips, I've just kind of tuned him out and just picked out certain things that I'm hearing from him.
And I think from that one that we just listened to, it's like clear as mud, pretty much. Like, so you're
gay, but you're not.
But
gay.
you're not.
Like, you're willing to do gay acts that are unnecessary
For the cause.
but you're doing it because they're necessary for the cause.
But not because you enjoy them.
No, absolutely not. But
Read the
also
subtext.
because you enjoy them.
Right.
Because you approached an FBI agent in a gay club.
Right. So Jones, he would sleep with both men and women, stating that he did not enjoy it, but that he had done it to support the cause.
Which is just the biggest pile of bull.
I know.
Like,
I don't enjoy this, but
lay down.
But spread them. Spread them, boy.
Imagining, like, in the middle, just being like, I'm not enjoying this.
I am not enjoying this. I would just like you to know. Man. One of the most infamous cases of an extramarital affair that Jones engaged in was with a woman named Carolyn Layton. Layton came to the church along with her husband, but went on to birth one of Jones's children and lived within his home where his children, Marcelin's children, his wife's children, referred to Layton as their mom, as Jones had directed them to do. Jones claimed that Marcelin, who had been his wife for nearly 20 years at this point, could no longer satisfy him sexually, and so God had instructed him to consummate with Layton.
Right.
I think beyond Jones being a horny pervert, there was also a lot of just like dominance and a lot of power that he gained from controlling other people and having his way with their bodies.
Absolutely.
And it's disgusting.
Yeah, no, I think most of what he did came from like a control and a power, a like need or want for power that he couldn't find in other ways.
But I would equally say he was a horny pervert as well.
Well, yeah.
His exploitations of his church's finances are disgusting too. The primary source of revenue for Jonestown was by way of social security checks that his followers were forced to hand over to him. This equated to approximately $65,000 a month.
Which, like, other than buying a crappy plot of land in a country that no one has ever heard of before, what is that going towards? Meth.
Yeah, you're right. Meth and his air-conditioned, refrigerated room.
I still, like, part of me is like, okay, I buy all the meth in the world. I buy my crappy little plot of land and I put an AC unit on there.
There's still money
That's
left.
still, like, okay, that was 1 month's worth.
Right.
What? I mean, maybe I'm unrealistic about how much meth costs, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how much meth costs, guys. Naivete here.
Yeah, for
don't
sure.
know.
But, like, that's $65 a month.
Yes. Which is like more than some people see in a year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Not in California necessarily, but like I would say those middle states that I can't even name, 65 is like a good...
That you have hit the jackpot with your job. Here in California, you've hit the jackpot when you get over 90,000.
Absolutely. That's the threshold.
The official jackpot is over 100, but like if you're making in the upward 80s to 90s, like Okay, you got yourself
You're
a really
comfortable.
good job.
You're comfortable.
You are a step above comfortable.
Right. Yes. You're a step above. Yeah.
You're not buying a brand new car, but like it might not be a used car by 6-7 years. It might be only a year old used.
Right. It might be a used Tesla, but it's a used Tesla.
Yeah. Or it might be a brand new Acura. Oh my God. Okay, so remember toward the end of part 1 where we talked about Jones's paranoia reaching an all-time high and that was why the church fled to Guyana in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I lied. Now is when his paranoia reached an all-time high.
For sure.
Here in Jonestown, he began conducting what were called white nights, in which he would gather his congregation and tell them that the government was out to get them and that they would one day have to die for the cause. They even conducted a test run in which he made his followers... Well, Leah, I'll just have you read it. This is a first-hand account from a follower that defected from the compound.
It wasn't just one test run. Like, apparently he did these frequently.
You're absolutely right. There was
Yeah.
more than one. Yes.
Okay. Everyone, including the children, was told to line up. As we passed through the line, we were given a small glass of red liquid to drink. We were told that the liquid contained poison and that we would die within 45 minutes. We all did as we were told. When the time came when we should have dropped dead, Reverend Jones explained that the poison was not real and that we had just been through a loyalist test. He warned us that the time was not far off when it would become necessary for us to die by our own hands.
So that is horrible.
Each week, Jason Horton revisits a different year along with the strange history and the cultural happenings during that year. Get your weekly Weird History fix with Strange Year. You can listen to Strange Year wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay, let's jump back to part 1 of the Jonestown Massacre episodes. Do you guys remember Timothy Stowen, the man that came to the People's Temple with his wife and then signed an affidavit signing over his son's life to Jim Jones and the church?
Mm-hmm.
For any listeners that have no idea what I'm talking about, this is your sign to go re-listen to part 1.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's been a long week and you've already forgotten what we talked about last week. It's okay, guys. It's okay.
It's okay.
Do yourself a favor and give it another listen and then meet us right back here. We'll be here.
Yeah, we're waiting.
We'll just be waiting.
We'll just hold.
Pause. All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
At the end of part 1, we were talking about the Stowens and how they had defected from the church and were beginning their fight for custody of their son. The Stowens and their efforts to get their son back is actually what blew this whole Jonestown thing wide open. The Stowens fought through the U.S. court system to regain custody of their son, John Victor Stowen, but the 7-year-old boy was in Guyana, complicating everything that much more. That alone to me is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
The parents were back in the States and their 7-year-old son is in Guyana.
Being, quote, raised by a meth head.
We both are pretty emotional people. Like, just talking
Girl.
about this actually makes my eyes like a little bit watery.
Yeah.
Their 7-year-old son was in Guyana, being raised by a meth head, and the parents are in the States attempting to regain custody of their son. Despite court orders that demanded that Jones return the boy to his parents, Jones refused. And you can imagine what Jones allowing the boy to go back to the States would have done for the rest of Jonestown. It would have set a precedent, and Jones would begin to lose control of his people.
Not to mention he's in a place that is not, there's no laws. You know what I mean? Like, he's not being overlooked by any laws. So, like, what are you going to do?
Right. And exactly. And he took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Between this custody battle and a handful of other former temple members that were concerned that their family members were being held in Guyana against their will, they were able to convince U.S. Congressman Leah Ryan to investigate. Ryan was known to be a hands-on congressman that had actually once posed as a prisoner so that he could get an inside look at the conditions within Folsom Prison. Ryan, along with some journalists, traveled to Jonestown to check things out. He had written a letter in advance to Jones requesting permission to visit, but was denied. Ryan said, "F that," and went anyway. On November 17th, 1978, they were greeted at Jonestown by a whole musical production, a hearty dinner that included like meat and fruit and pastries, and temple members raving about how much they loved Jim Jones and their little Utopia. Coerced much?
Mm-hmm.
There is actually a bunch of footage of this night that you can find now on YouTube, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. My favorite video that you can find on YouTube of Jim Jones in Jonestown is him parading around and bragging about the commune there and how plentiful the earth is and whatnot. And he takes you through this whole area that is literally like overflowing with bananas. And he talks about how fruitful the soil is, but you can totally see in the video little stickers on the bananas because they had been imported.
Yeah.
He's a liar. You're a liar.
You're a liar.
Harry Potter reference.
Yes.
Ryan personally asked a handful of people if they felt safe, if they were happy, if they wanted to stay in Jonestown, and he was told by all of them that yes, Jim Jones was their god and they loved Jonestown.
Like, that's not comforting. Jim Jones is my god.
Yeah. No, that's not comforting at all. And this didn't last long anyway.
Yeah.
Ryan ended up getting passed a note. They actually, it was a member of the church handled it to one of the production crew journalists, who then, because they thought that person was Ryan, but then passed it off to Congressman Ryan. This note that very same night, from 2 Jonestown members that basically said please get us out of Jonestown.
Mm-hmm.
There ended up being 14 people joining them in their efforts to escape despite Jones's protest, which, like I just mentioned, those YouTube videos that you guys should watch, there's a ton of footage from this trip that the congressman and the journalists and such took, and it is cringy, awkward, disgusting. The footage of the people saying we're leaving and Jim Jones attempting to persuade them to stay.
Yeah, it's really awkward.
It's incredibly cringy.
Mm-hmm.
The following day, November 18th, 1978, Ryan, the journalist, and the defectors made their way to the airstrip where an additional aircraft had to be ordered to pick them all up because there were so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
One defector in particular, a man named Larry Layton, which that name may sound familiar if you remember his wife, Carolyn Layton,
yep,
who was the woman that had a child with Jim Jones. Larry Layton continued to be a devout follower of Jim Jones, even after his wife had a child with Jim Jones.
Mm-hmm.
It's all weird. Anyway, this Larry Layton guy, he caused alarm amongst the other defectors because he was such a devout follower of Jones, and it really set them off that he had come along with them saying he was defecting and he was done with the whole Jonestown thing. And they weren't wrong in their suspicions about this guy. When the first aircraft began to take off, the aircraft that contained Layton pulled out a handgun and injured members on board. The others waiting on the airstrip for the other aircraft were met by a number of Jonestown members riding up in a trailer. When these members reached them, they pulled out guns and began shooting at Ryan, his crew, and the defectors still there. Some of this is actually captured on camera. That is, until the cameraman was shot and killed. Ryan was shot a total of 20 times and died. This massacre resulted in the deaths of 5 people and injuries to 11 others. After this devastation, Jones called together his congregation back at Jonestown and spoke to them for nearly 45 minutes in what is now known as the death tape. Here we have about 2 minutes of that speech for you guys to listen to.
What's going to happen here in a matter of a few minutes is that one of those people on that plane is going to shoot the pilot. I know that. I didn't plan it, but I know it's going to happen. They're going to shoot that pilot, and down comes that plane into the jungle. And we had better not have any of our children left when it's over, because they'll parachute in here on us. I'm telling you just as plain as I know how to tell you. I've never lied to you. I never have lied to you. I know that's what's going to happen. That's what he intends to do, and he will do it. He'll do it. Fortunately, being so bewildered with many pressures on my brain, seeing all these people behave so treasonous, it was just too much for me to put together, but I now know what he was telling me, and it'll happen. If the plane gets in the air, even. So, my opinion is that we be kind to children and be kind to seniors and take the portion like they used to take in ancient Greece and step over quietly, because we are not committing suicide. It's a revolutionary act. We can't go back. They won't leave us alone. They're now going back to tell more lies, which means more congressmen, and there's no way we can survive. Anybody wish to? Anyone that has any dissenting opinion, please speak. Yes. You can have an opportunity, but if our children are left, we are going to have them butchered. We can make a strike, but we'll be striking against people that we don't want to strike against. We'd like to get the people who cause this stuff, and if some people here are prepared to know how to do that, to go in town and get Timothy Stone, but there's no plane. There's no plane. You can't catch a plane in time. He's responsible for it. He brought these people to us. He and Deanna Myrtle. But people in San Francisco will not be idle over this. They'll not take our death in vain, you know. Yes, Christine. Is it too late for Russia? Here's why it's too late for Russia. They killed. They started to kill.
All right. So through that audio, Leah and I were just looking at each other and
making comments,
shaking our heads. One thing in particular that's extra disturbing is the fact that you can hear a baby like crying in the background the entire time.
Yeah.
It's really, really horrific.
And they're just like calmly discussing like, well, here's the reasons why we should all kill ourselves.
Yep. There is, right where we cut off, there is one woman. So we cut this part off, but I do recommend you guys go check out all the audio. Right where we cut off, there's one woman in particular that she actually fought Jones on his decision to kill the whole commune, in particular the children. But it didn't matter. It was already done. His inner circle had already prepared vats of red juice, which was actually flavor aid, by the way. Leah teased at that in the first episode. It wasn't really Kool-Aid, guys. So when you say, like, don't drink the Kool-Aid, you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
It was actually flavor aid, which is kind of just like a knockoff of Kool-Aid. And this flavor aid, it was laced with several things, but the most...
the thing that actually did the job.
Being cyanide. Yes. Okay, so this part here, it's extra disturbing. So that's just our warning to you guys as our listeners that if you don't want to hear this, skip like 2 minutes because it is super disturbing. The children, so they were the first to go. Adults squirted the poison into the mouths of the infants and children via syringes and then watched them die. Then the adults were given paper cups filled with the juice. They drank it and they died themselves. Death by cyanide is horrific. Basically, what cyanide does is it inhibits oxygen from reaching the bloodstream. So essentially, you are suffocating to death. It took the children about 5 or so minutes to die, less for the infants, and it would take an adult about 20 or so minutes to die from cyanide poisoning. So just imagine that. These adults were watching their children, their grandchildren, die before their eyes before they died themselves.
To be completely honest, and I've heard this said by, I think, multiple different sources, but like, I think a lot of them seeing their children die in front of their eyes, it would just be like, well, yeah. It would be an easy decision then to, you know what I mean?
Of course I would die too.
Yeah.
And something else I heard too, just to go into the whole idea of like, why would people do this? There were some journals from people that just said they were tired. Like, I'm over this bullshit.
They hadn't been eating, like they'd been eating tiny portions, not getting enough water every day, working out in the fields that weren't producing actually any crops.
Yes.
And then after how many years of Jim Jones abuse,
they were just done.
Yeah.
So death almost seemed like an easy way out for some of these people.
And then it's like at the same time, he's been running so many of those like fake outs.
You're right.
What, White Nights?
Yep, White Nights.
That I wouldn't be surprised if obviously once people started actually dying, they probably realized it was real. But my first reaction would be, oh, it's another one, guys.
Yep. I've seen like some journal entries where people were like similar along those lines of like, yep, just another one. There was one woman that she had defected before this case, so she wasn't there when this happened. But she believes they probably knew that this one in particular was real, just because Jones, you guys heard in that recording that he told them that like, we've shot and killed people at the airstrip.
But I didn't know about it. But I didn't plan it, but I know about it.
Yeah, I am all powerful. I know everything except for this one thing.
Yeah.
But so there are some people that maybe did know that this one was the for real thing, because oh shit, we've killed people. Now we have to die.
Yeah.
Because they're going to come after us. One of the children that died was 7-year-old John Victor Stowen, the child whose parents had been in the States desperately fighting to get their son back. Jones did not partake in the juice like his followers. Rather, he shot himself in the head, which was found after his death to be resting on a pillow because he's a asshole.
Yeah. He probably saw 900 of his people suffocating.
Yep.
And decided that doesn't look so nice.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that way.
Yeah.
Within minutes, 918 people were dead, 304 of which were under the age of 18. So that 918 number, that includes like the people that were at the airstrip and stuff that were killed as well. Now, there are some pictures that we've uploaded. They're especially disturbing. I've only uploaded 2 because they're extra disturbing, and even when we do later upload them to Instagram, I am going to put one of those like disclaimer warnings. So go ahead, Leah.
Yeah. So the first one is, it's literally just a pile of human beings.
Yeah.
The disturbing thing about this is their first analysis was like, oh my God, there's like 300 people dead here.
Yep.
And then they were like, no, that's the first layer of bodies.
Yes.
No, there's like 3 more layers. It's 900 people.
That's exactly what I was going to go into. Why this picture is so disturbing to me is like, I've never, ever seen anything like that. Just hundreds of bodies laying on the ground. And exactly like Leah said, when the Guyanese officials got there, they initially calculated it as like 300 deaths, 400 deaths, something like that. When American officials got there, they ended up calculating it in the 900s, because the Guyanese had only counted the top layer of people.
And like by the time the Americans got there, I read somewhere that like because Guyana was like crazy hot and like humid and stuff, like they only got there a day or so later or something, but it was already like so severe decomposition that it was disgusting.
Especially,
and they couldn't identify people.
Correct. Over almost like half-ish of these people they couldn't identify.
So picture number 2, I believe it's showing the vat of Flavor Aid that they drank from. And then in the background, you can see just people lying all around, deceased.
The reason I picked that picture is just because I feel like it's so ominous seeing like
the thing that did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something else that's really disturbing too is a lot of when officials came in later and were doing like autopsies and analysis and stuff of these bodies, found that the majority of the adults, so like I said, the children and stuff were given the liquid via like syringes and stuff in their mouths. The majority of the adults drank them from paper cups, but you could see
the paper cup.
You can see the paper cups, but some of the people that were conducting the autopsies found needle marks in some of these people because they had to be forced to take the liquid.
Yeah.
Guyanese officials arrived at the compound the following day and found the nearly 1,000 of bodies laying on the ground. It was devastating. People across the world were horrified by what they saw and heard. Between all of the writings and all of Jones's recorded speeches, investigators were able to pretty quickly put together what had happened. The factions of the People's Temple, still here in the state, disbanded and declared bankruptcy. Prior to killing his Jonestown community, Jones had placed a radio call to the People's Temple members not in Jonestown and told them to commit revolutionary suicide too. One follower in particular followed his instructions, killing herself, and then she killed 3 of her children, and then one of her kids, who was 21, killed her, and then the 21-year-old killed herself. So basically, this family committed suicide following Jones's orders. Of those living in Jonestown, only 33 survived. Jones's sons were some of those that survived the incident because they had been away competing in a basketball tournament at the time of the incident.
Which, like, why are you competing in a basketball
I think it's
tournament?
so weird. I think there's like a whole piece that I don't understand. Like, people, they competed with with whom?
Where?
I don't know. Larry Layton, the devout follower that had followed the defectors onto the aircraft and injured members with a handgun, was criminally charged, making him the only person held criminally responsible for what happened that horrific day in Guyana. Approximately 400 of the bodies were unidentified and have since been transported and are now in a mass grave here in Oakland, California. But still, the greatest legacy to come from this tragic incident is the phrase that we all hear all the time in reference to blindly, foolishly following the crowd and doing something crazy. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Or, should I say, Flavor Aid. All right, guys, this episode was especially tough, but we're done now. And on a lighter note, we have really exciting news. Next week is our season finale already,
Which is crazy.
I know we say this every single time, but like, we're closing out our 3rd season. You guys, we have almost done 30 episodes. That's crazy to me. And to close out our 3rd season, we have a super, super exciting and super special guest on the show next week. We will have Nicole Allison on the show. She is a public historian and a subject matter expert that works at the local California Railroad Museum. She's going to be coming on the show to talk about the museum's brand new exhibit that she was absolutely instrumental in establishing. It is called Crossing the Lines, Women of the Railroad, to honor both past and current women of the American Railroad. And we cannot wait, and we hope you guys will join us for what I know will be a really amazing episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Hashtag History. We will post the pictures from this episode to Instagram, and like I said, we will be posting those with a disclaimer because the pictures are exceptionally sensitive and tough to look at. All sources used to put this episode together can be found on our website. If you enjoyed the episode, do us a favor and subscribe to Hashtag History on whatever podcast platform you use. Share it with a friend and give us a rate and review.
Be sure to check us out on Instagram too. We are at #history_podcast, and that's where we really have started. That's pretty much our main point of communication with you guys.
Yeah, so check us out there. I think we're fun and we're cool on there.
We're totally cool.
We're very cool. So check us out.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Selecting the jungles of Guyana. Why am I struggling? Let's do this again.
Record. Okay.
By blah, blah. Those aren't the same sentence. There's actually a period there, Rachel. So let's observe the period that you placed there. Okay.
Sounds like me 2 weeks ago. I'm not putting that in. I got food poisoning, okay, guys? It was really, and of course, Rachel and I are so close that I was like texting her a play-by-play.
I wish I had looked at this guy. Satch? That's how you say it, right? Shacked attack. Okay.
I don't know.
I'm going to say shacked.
Shacked.
One defector, Jim, or I'm struggling.
I do have to tell the story. A couple weeks back, Rachel said it's been And of course...
Took a breath before I completed my sentence.
And of course, my first thought was, it's been one week since you looked at me.
I'm sorry.
Right, which is Bare Naked Ladies, I believe. So since then, it was stuck in my head for like days. And Rachel, because it's your fault and you said that.
Not my fault.
I continued to send her, like, I basically rickrolled her, but with this song.
Yeah, and like Snapchat videos of just her lips going, it's bad, like that. I'm like, you effing suck. She found me on every social media platform, like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, all the things, and sent me some stupid, it's bad. So
it's not over yet either. The drink is making my throat, I'm verklempt.